Well, I'm about to give you an exclusive first look before it takes over the country. And if you've got good enough timing, you might just score a perfect victory.
Let me tell you something. When the Cleveland Browns dropped their 2026 schedule release video, they didn't just show you games and dates. They sent a message. A loud, clear, unmistakable message to every single person who spent the last several months trying to write Shedeur Sanders off before he ever took a real snap. And that message was simple. Shedeur Sanders was the only quarterback featured in that video. Not a committee, not a competition. One quarterback. Their quarterback. And if you think that was an accident, you have not been paying attention to what Jimmy Haslam has been quietly building inside that organization. This moment did not come out of nowhere. It was earned, it was planned, and it was executed perfectly. Let's go back to the beginning of this offseason, because the Cleveland Browns had a plan from day one. And I need you to understand that this was never the chaos the media was trying to sell you. While reporters were standing outside spinning narratives and collecting clicks, the Browns front office was executing a very specific, very deliberate process. Step 1. Get Shedeur into the voluntary training sessions and let him work. No pressure, no big proclamations, no cameras, just football. Let the young man get comfortable, get his reps, and get locked in. Step 2. Give him first-team reps. Put him with the ones. Let him operate at the highest level available in the offseason and see exactly what he does with the opportunity. And what happened when they did that? The man delivered. Every single time. But here is where the story gets truly fascinating. While all of that was happening inside the building, the media outside was doing what Cleveland media does best. Running a completely different story. The narrative being pushed, and I mean pushed aggressively, was that Deshaun Watson had taken control of the quarterback room. That the reins were being handed over to the veteran. That Shedeur Sanders was fading into the background, and the organization was quietly moving on from the idea of him being their guy. Some outlets were reporting it as if the decision had basically already been made, and Sanders was being eased out of the picture. Shedeur Sanders heard none of it. Or maybe he heard all of it and simply chose not to let it move him. Either way, he stayed. He worked. He put his head down, kept his focus locked in, and kept throwing. Day after day, rep after rep. And the front office watched every single moment of it. They saw who showed up. They saw who competed. They saw who handled the pressure of an entire city's doubt without flinching. And then they made their schedule release video. And they put one quarterback in it alongside the other starters. One. And it was not the guy the media had been crowning for months. Now let's talk about Jimmy Haslam, because this man deserves serious credit, and almost nobody in the national conversation is giving it to him. Jimmy Haslam was the one who stood firmly behind Todd Monken's decision to lock the Cleveland media out of locker room access. The owner of the Cleveland Browns personally backed the move to shut the local press out of that building. And he did not just approve it from a distance. He is standing behind that decision with everything he has. This was not a passive endorsement. This was an owner drawing a line and daring anyone to cross it. Think about what that actually means in practice. While the reporters who spent an entire season trying to bury Shedeur Sanders before he could even prove himself are standing outside that facility wondering what they are missing, Shedeur is in there throwing the prettiest ball anyone in that building has seen in years. Sources inside the organization are buzzing. People who are in those rooms and on those fields every single day are talking, and everything they are saying points in one direction. Jimmy Haslam built a wall between his quarterback and the noise. And then he watched his quarterback absolutely thrive behind it. That is not a small thing. Owners do not typically go to war with their local media over a quarterback who they are not fully committed to. You do not lock reporters out of your facility and stake your reputation on a player unless you genuinely believe in what that player is capable of becoming. Jimmy Haslam believes. And the schedule release video just confirmed it for the entire world to see. Now let's address the Todd Monken piece of this, because it is just as important. Monken stepped to that podium and completely dismantled the narrative that had been running wild through Cleveland media circles. He made it crystal clear that there is no announced starter at quarterback. None. Zero. He acknowledged openly that he would love to have a clear number one under center heading into the season. that he would love to walk into training camp with that answer already locked in, but he is simply not there yet. And his reasoning was straightforward. 3 voluntary minicamp sessions do not determine a starting quarterback. That is not how professional football works, and Monken knows it better than anyone in that building. Now here is exactly why that statement carries so much weight. Mary Kay Cabot, one of the loudest and most prominent voices in this entire Cleveland quarterback debate, had been pushing hard on the idea that Deshaun Watson was not just competing for the starting job, but was essentially already ahead in the race. She was out there reporting that Watson had looked better than Shedeur during those voluntary sessions, and that people inside Browns management were viewing Watson as their likely starter for the upcoming season. She was presenting it not as speculation, but as inside information from people with real knowledge of the situation.
And so what I've been hearing is that he emerged from that voluntary minicamp ahead of Shedeur Sanders, and at this point right now, he has the inside track to win the starting job.
And then Todd Monken walked up to that podium and, whether he intended to or not, completely pulled the rug out from under everything she had been reporting. Because you simply cannot claim that a man has won a job that the head coach himself is publicly saying has not been decided. That contradiction does not resolve itself. The math does not work. If the head coach says no decision has been made, then nobody inside that building told a reporter that the decision had been made. One of those things has to be wrong, and given that Monken is the one running the quarterback room, the answer becomes pretty obvious. And Monken is not operating in isolation on this.
Well, I would love to have that. I'm not there yet, so I can't say that. We've been on the field 3 practices, which was awesome. And to get out there with our players. I was talking to Carson yesterday. He said, feels so weird that we got from phase 1 to get on the field, and then now we're back off for 3 weeks. But it's always changing.
General Manager Andrew Berry has been equally clear and equally vocal about what he sees when he watches Shedeur Sanders. Berry has spoken openly and without hesitation about Shedeur's development this offseason, about the work ethic he has brought to the facility every single day, and about the trajectory the young quarterback has been on since the moment he arrived in Cleveland. Berry looked people in the eye and said that if Shedeur continues on the path he is currently on, he has every ability to put himself in position to be the starting quarterback for this football team this season. Sit with that for a second. That is the general manager of the Cleveland Browns speaking with genuine, unscripted belief in their young quarterback. That is not a PR move designed to make a rookie feel valued. That is not a calculated statement meant to maintain competition. That is an honest, direct football evaluation from the man who built the roster and whose job depends on getting these decisions right. Berry is not a man who throws words around carelessly. When he says something that clearly and that directly, it means something real. And here is the thread that ties all of this together. Monken believes it. Berry believes it. And both of these men are closely aligned with Jimmy Haslam. This is not a front office divided. This is not an organization where the coach thinks one thing, the GM thinks another, and the owner is doing something different behind the scenes. This is a unified operation, all pointing in the same direction, all making decisions that reflect the same core belief. That Shedeur Sanders is the future of the Cleveland Browns, and that future starts now. So when that schedule release video dropped, and Shedeur was the only quarterback standing there representing Cleveland alongside the other starters from around the league, it landed like a statement. Because it was one. Jimmy Haslam shocked the NFL world. But those of us who had been watching closely, reading between the lines, and ignoring the noise from reporters who never had the full picture, we were not shocked at all. The Browns had a plan. They executed it in silence. And now Shedeur Sanders is their starting quarterback. The media that tried to bury him is still standing outside that locked door, and Jimmy Haslam is standing tall on the right side of history.